Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic installation of Above It All. And this story, I honestly don't even know where to begin. Um, but there is a we interview clip circulating on Twitter.
You talk
And I want to play this first, and then I'll read the Vice article about this subject. Staggering number of hysterectomies happening at ICE facility, whistleblower says. And this is the whistleblower speaking on MSNBC.
you talk about in the complaint a hearing from women who are detained there, talking about a specific doctor performing hysterectomies, referring to him as a uterus collector. Tell us about how you heard about this doctor and what women said about their experiences with him.
You have detained women. I had several detained women on numerous occasions that would come to me and say, Miss Wooten, I had hysterectomy. Why? I had no answers as to why they had those procedures. And one lady walked up to me here this last time around between October of 19 until July the 2nd. And she said, what is he? Is he the uterus collector? Does he collect uteruses? And I asked her, what does she mean? And she says, everybody that I talked to has had a hysterectomy. And you just don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have a answer for why that they would come to me and they would say, is he the uterus collector?
So, for those of you that are in any capacity educated about the Holocaust, and apparently upwards of 60% of young adults aren't, so we're in the minority here. This is very similar stuff to what they were doing in Nazi Germany during the Holocaust. This is also something that has a very unique American tradition of trying to kidnap and attack, indigenous people and, perform, procedures on them. And, like sometimes they would escape, but they couldn't reproduce. There's countless examples of this happening with black people in the Jim Crow era. Oh, we'll finally give you voting rights, but, we're not going to let you, procreate. We're not going to let, like, there was this story I read a couple months ago of in the 50s in North Carolina, in order to qualify for unemployment while you were black, you had to get a vasectomy. You had to do these procedures. And so this is something that has a very American tradition to it. And I want to read the Vice article in full. And there's more you can look up on this, but I'm just trying to give you information here. A whistleblower complaint filed Monday by several legal advocacy groups accuses a detention center of performing a staggering number of hysterectomies on immigrant women, as well as failing to follow procedures meant to keep both detainees and employees safe from the coronavirus. The complaint, filed on behalf of several detained immigrants and a nurse named Dawn Wooten, details several accounts of recent jarring medical neglect at the Irwin County Detention Center in Ocilla, Georgia, which is run by the private prison company LaSalle South Corrections and houses people incarcerated by Immigrant and Customs Enforcement, ICE. In interviews with Project South, a Georgia nonprofit, multiple women said that hysterectomies were stunningly frequent among immigrants detained at the facility. When I met all of these women who had surgeries, I thought this was like an experimental concentration camp, said one woman, who said she'd met 5 women who had hysterectomies after being detained between October and December of 2019. The woman said the immigrants at Irwin are often sent to one particular gynecologist. I'm so sorry. Gynecologist. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Outside of the facility it was like they were experimenting with their bodies. In one case, Wooten said a woman who ended up with a hysterectomy was not properly anesthetized? Anesthetized? I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce big words. I'm not a doctor. I dropped out of high school. Please bear with me. And overheard the doctor say that he'd taken out the wrong ovary. What? This sounds like a skit out of a satire film, but no. This is real life, and that's what's so just absolutely stunning about this. But it's, at the same time, not stunning, given our history as a species and as Americans. That woman had to go back and get her other ovary removed as well, Wooten said. We've questioned among ourselves, like, goodness, he's taking everybody's stuff out, said Wooten, who was a full-time employee at Irwin until July. That's his specialty. He's the uterus collector. I know that's ugly. Is he collecting these things or something? She continued. Everyone he sees, he's taking all their uteruses out, or he's taking their tubes out. What in the world? Wooten also said she'd talked to several detained immigrants who'd had hysterectomies but didn't know why. One detained immigrant told Project South that ahead of the scheduled procedure, she was given multiple different explanations about what would happen and why it was necessary. While ICE reported in August that 41 immigrants at Irwin have tested positive for COVID-19, Wooten believes that the true number may be much higher, according to the complaint. Women housed in multiple units in the facility allegedly exhibited COVID-19 symptoms, but were not tested for the virus for weeks. Immigrants have also allegedly continued to be transferred in and out of the facility against guidelines by the Centers for Disease Control and the advice of Irwin's own medical director. The complaint also alleges that detained immigrants and staffers at Irwin lacked the personal protective equipment they need to stay safe during the coronavirus pandemic. People in both groups have only received one mask each since the pandemic broke out. It is also impossible to socially distance within the facility, according to the complaint. There is no way of protecting against COVID-19 at all here in the facility, one immigrant said. We share everything together. There is no way we can feel protected here in the facility. Detained immigrants have also said that the medical and quarantine unit in one part of the Irwin facility were filthy. One woman said she had to clean her cell using shampoo because the staffers weren't giving her any chemicals. She recalled seeing another woman use her socks to do the same. Again, this is not describing a historical document of what happened in the 1930s in Germany. This is describing of what's happening in 2019 and 2020 in the United States of America. If this report does not shatter your belief in this government and in these institutions, I don't know what will. You are a lost cause if this doesn't wake you up in any sort of fashion. Meanwhile, employees are also expected, even if they have, or rather, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. If it wasn't for my faith in God, I think I would have gone insane and just break down and probably gone as far as hurting myself. The woman said, there are a lot of people here who end up in medical trying to kill themselves because of how crazy it is. Some men at the facility even went on hunger strike, demanding to be released or to have better protections against the coronavirus, according to the complaint, but nothing changed. Meanwhile, employees are also expected to work even if they have COVID-19 symptoms and are awaiting their test results, Wooten said. And management at the facility also allegedly refuses to tell officers if any detained immigrants have tested positive for COVID-19, which could heighten the risk of contracting the virus. Ms. Wooten explained that she believes ICDC is hiding information about COVID-19 in order to keep things quiet, the complaint alleged. She stated that everyone in the facility is scared at this point. So management does not want to tell officers and detained immigrants the truth because they are afraid of an uproar. Instead, The secrecy has created a silent pandemic where even if officers get COVID-19 from the facility, the officers won't be able to blame ICDC because no one knows how to prevent, no one knows how prevalent the COVID-19 is inside ICDC due to not testing detained immigrants and not sharing who has the virus. Besides Project South, the advocacy groups Georgia Detention Watch, Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights, and South Georgia Immigrant Support Network helped file the complaints with the Department of Homeland Security Office of the Inspector General. Law and Crime published the complaint after The Intercept covered some of the allegations inside of it. La Salle Corrections didn't immediately respond to a Vice News request for comment. In the past, the Irwin County Detention Center has repeatedly been found to be in compliance with ICE's detention standards. Wow. Let's take that at their word, right? In a statement, ICE said it does not comment on matters handled by the Office of the Inspector General. ICE takes all allegations seriously and defers to the OIG regarding any potential investigation and/or results. The agency said, that said, in general, anonymous, unproven allegations made with any fact-checkable specifics should be treated with appropriate skepticism they deserve. Again, if you are believing anything that the government says, then you are a fool. You've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. This is a serious problem. When are we going to actually fix it? And before you MAGA dullards, oh, but Obama, oh, Clinton, yeah, they're all bad. All of the presidents in unison were on the same team against immigration. We're on the same team in favor of eugenics. We're on the same side of the spectrum. They just went about it slightly differently. You can't have Trump's concentration camps without Obama's concentration camps. And you can't have those without Bush's concentration camps. And you can't have those without Clinton's, and so onward and so forth. I have nothing else to say, but this is absolutely just despicable and disgusting in every fashion.